All right, so it is that time of the semester where we need to start printing our work for our midterm critique. So if we open up our digital folder in the documents, we're looking at all of our different exercises. We will start with the exercise that you are required to print, which is assignment 6. But you still have some options there. Do you want to print your black and white logo, or do you want to print your color logo? Now, when we're looking for how to print things and where we print things, what we can do is go to the class Dropbox. And we can do this from any computer, but you log into the NLC Arts Lab class Dropbox file. The login details are in the Canvas page in the links. We go to Digital Art Class Files, and you'll see this folder, Flattened TIFF Files to Print. And the very first thing in that folder are instructions that you can look at. And you can print for yourself if you like, about how to make something print ready. So that's what this little extra video is about. So the first thing you have to do is choose what you want to print, and you want to find your most finished version. And often, especially from the first half of the class, that's going to be a PSD version, because that's high res. It's not in a loss compression format like a JPEG or a PNG. Sometimes it might be a TIFF, because that's what's called a lossless compression format or an archive format. But in the case of your logos, since this was new, it's in what's called an EPS format, which is a vector format. That's actually your highest quality image, because this can be any resolution we want it to be. And so as an EPS, we can zoom in on it, and it will keep re-rasterizing itself to match the screen's pixel resolution. So it will never see squares. That's as much as I can zoom in preview. And it's just always going to be perfectly clean. So depending on what the digital art is, you want to find your highest quality finished piece. The other choice you have to make is, do you want your black and white logo, or do you want your color logo solution? And you want to make sure you have EPSs for both of those. So even though I have kind of built in this sloppy outline stroke to make it look a little bit more natural, you'll notice all of this is perfectly clean. It's still an EPS. And I can make it rasterized to any shape or size. And the gradations are perfectly clean. These are the best files to make print ready. So let's say I'm going to make my color logo print ready. What do? Well, I have to rasterize it. Our photo printers print from raster files through Photoshop, so we have to open it into Photoshop. And the first thing we need to understand is what we're going to fit it on. So I'm going to show you a little bit with some sketches here. In order to print, you need to know what size and what final output you're printing to. And so our finished projects, we are going to mat with black mats, which is just a black frame made out of paper, 4-ply paper, that is acid protected on two sides, and then it has kind of acidic cardboard core on the two inner layers. If you want to spend a lot of money, you can get museum board, which is solid core matting, which is acid free all the way through. But as long as it's acid protected, it should be fine for your prints. Your prints won't yellow over time. So the most common standard sizes for art prints is an 11 by 14 inch on the outside rectangle, and an 8 by 10 window, 8 by 10 inch window on the inside. And that's because the most common paper is 8.5 by 11 letter size paper. And that overlaps on the mat like so that you tape it in. This is how I'll be printing and matting my logo. Here with red is where you put the tape. You tape it in by putting a piece that's close to the corner but not touching the corner, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch away from the corner, on the top so that it flaps down and hangs down. And you tape the back of the mat, or if you have a backing board, that's even better. And then, just to keep it from flopping all around in the mat, you just tack it down with a very small piece of tape in the center of the other 3 edges. Why don't you use more tape? Well, because the paper will absorb moisture, and temperature will affect it. And I'll show the wrong kind of tape you should use in, let's see, bright yellow. So if you tape it like this, like many people do, that will cause your paper to curl and to look terrible in the mat. It will start buckling and bubbling. So you don't want that. So this is the way you tape. Now, if I know I'm going to print and mat into something this size, I need to make sure my image fits comfortably within the 8x10 window. So when I print my logo, first I have to decide, is it going to be portrait format like this or landscape format like this? It depends on the shape of the logo. Right? But what we do know is that the most standard size is 8x10. That's the paper that you can buy, the 8.5 by 11 paper that will mat in the 8x10 window. And those are the easiest pre-cut mats to find, and they work really well in book portfolios or in frames. They're a good way of protecting your finished work. Okay, but this is landscape format. So the next most common size is what's called 16 by 20 on the outside. And again, that's a standard size for portfolios and for mats and for frames. So it makes everything a lot cheaper if you can match these standards. And 16 by 20 on the outside looks like this. This is just a landscape format example, turned on its side. The inside of 16 by 20, most commonly, is 11 by 14. It's a little bit taller than that. So a nice way to remember that, and it's all on your supply sheet that's in Canvas as well, but a nice way to remember that is that this whole mat, the outside of this mat, fits into here. So this is 14 inches by 11 inches, and that whole dimension, that's where this comes from. So that with one piece of mat board that's 16 by 20 inches, you can get 2 different mats. And then if we went smaller, we can get into kind of snapshot photo sizes, like an 8 by 10 mat with a 5 by 7 opening. But we're not doing that in this class. All right. So for images that you want to fit within the larger mat, we have to print on larger paper. And the paper we have for the larger mats is actually what's called Super B format. And it is 19 inches. So it goes quite a bit beyond, by 13 inches. So it overlaps with 11 by 14 with a lot of space to spare on 2 sides. The other mat you can get, and you can only get it at Michael's currently, is 16 by 20 on the outside. So exactly the same on the outside as this one, but it's larger on the inside. And it's actually a really helpful dimension on the inside, which is 12 by 18 inches. So instead of 11 inches tall, it's 12 inches tall if you're doing landscape format. And instead of 14 inches wide, it is 18 inches wide, which allows for a much longer space. That might be really helpful for your landscape to show more of it at a larger size. So those are the pre-cut options we have. Now this is only available at Michaels. You can always get custom mats cut to any sizes you want, but if you want it cheaper and pre-cut, you can find pre-cut mats at any art store, but this particular size with the 12 by 18 window, which is not standard, is only available at Michaels. And their mats cost a little bit more than Hobby Lobby. You can also go to Azels, you can also go to Hurricks, and you'll find pre-cut mats. Okay, now what's nice about the 18 by 20, or I'm sorry, the 18 by 12 inch, is that our 13 by 19 inch paper fills it almost completely. So if you want the largest possible print of your artwork and you have the resolution to support it, this is the kind of mat you want. Okay, so make sure you can get it. Remember, Michaels and Hobby Lobby, they only stack about 6 of every item at a time. They can't stock up even if the school tells them that there's going to be a high demand. So it's always first come, first serve. And the reason we use black mats for our critiques is it's very easy to find black mats that match even if you buy them from different places. That's not true of white or any other color. All right, so step 1, you have to know what print and mat size you are going to use before you even start to format your print-ready file. Because you need to optimize the resolution for that. Okay, so how do I make my EPS file my color EPS file, how do I make it into something that's print ready? Well, I simply go in Photoshop and I create a new document, and I'm going to call it my print ready logo. It should have your name and it should have something that says print ready, like PR is usually what I use. And I want it to be the dimensions of the mat opening that I'm going to use. So either 8 by 10, 11 by 14, or 12 by 18 inches. What's great about EPS files, vector files, you can make them fill any space you want. I want the resolution to be what this lab's preferred resolution is, which is 350 pixels per inch. I want the color mode to be RGB color, and I want the background to be white. Don't worry about the color profile, leave all of that default to the computer. Okay. Now it's 8 inches by 10 inches, but it's 10 inches wide and 8 inches tall, and my logo is more vertical. So I'm going to rotate that canvas, or image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. And now, in order to bring in my EPS file, where is it, as a smart object, I'm just going to drag and drop it from my file folder. And it will come in as a smart object, and then I can automatically place it. Now already that looks pretty good. If I think of this surrounding area here as being the mat, this is the 8 by 10 opening. How do I want my logo to look within that opening? And if I think that looks pretty good, then I'm fine with it. If I want to change it, I can hit Command T, and I can shrink it or enlarge it, thinking of how the negative space looks around it. Hit return, it will place it. But because it's a smart object, it won't let me modify it. And if I zoom in, whatever placement I put it at, it will match that resolution perfectly. All right. So now, how do I make it print ready? I need to first flatten the image. So I've gotten it open, it's in Photoshop. It's the finished highest res, so now I need to